explore the wisdom of the revered Narada Bhakti Sutras, a cornerstone of Hindu devotion, with His Holiness Swami Jyotirmayananda. Experience 45 enlightening lessons on the essence of Bhakti Yoga. Discover the path to pure love for God and transcend the material world. Embrace the teachings that have guided devotees for centuries. Attain spiritual perfection through devotion. Prepare to understand the depths of divine love. Find your path to spiritual enlightenment. Trust in the sutras. Follow these instructions. Be blessed with devotion. And now, His Holiness Swami Jyotirmayananda.
We continue with the study of Bhakti Yoga, and this may be part 4, so don't get confused. 4 or 5 wouldn't make much difference. As you have heard, devotion to God is known as Bhakti Yoga, path of devotion. Jnana Yoga is path of wisdom. One should have no confusion, because both are two aspects of the same coin. To know Brahman as absolute bliss and not to love him. You cannot separate. If God is bliss, your heart will overflow. Therefore, we use the term para bhakti, supreme devotion, and jnana, enlightenment. Both are two aspects of the same. So much so the Upanishad says, unless you have para bhakti, you will not be able to experience liberation. Many points have been given to you. Tonight I'm going to focus on 5 attitudes on the path of devotion. They're known as bhava. A devotee adopts an attitude towards God. The whole project is how to come closer to God, how to love God. And it requires transformation in your feeling, the feeling aspect. If you study your feeling in normal day-to-day life, different types of happiness arise according to different types of feeling. A mother sees a child. The feeling is different. A different type of happiness comes. But when you see a friend, a grown-up person, depending upon what type of relationship, the feeling changes. Some people are drawn to one special type of feeling. Rather, everyone has, just like tastes and temperaments of people. The choice of feeling varies. Some may excel as a mother. Some may excel as a brother. Some may excel as husband or wife. Keeping that in view, you can love God in 5 ways. And each attitude gives you a special type of joy. Just like you can eat the same nutrition either by making pudding, or you can make something else, khichdi or whatever. Those 5, they come in sequence. Normally, devotional movement ascends, the first step is Shanta. Shanta is, which means there is an abstract understanding of God, and you do not display it. Just leave it that way. There is God, you are not talking about Him. Nobody even knows that you love God. That was illustrated by Bhishma in Mahabharata. To study that grand story. Bhishma was grandfather, most powerful personality and very wise, and great devotee of Lord Krishna. His devotion was hidden devotion. Yet Krishna recognized his devotion and responded to him in a divine way. I'll just give you some reference from Mahabharata. Krishna had pledged that in that battle he will not handle any weapon. He will simply drive the chariot of Arjuna. And Bhishma had pledged that he will force Krishna to break his promise. During the intensity of the battle, Arjuna slackened. And Krishna realized that it is a very critical situation. If Arjuna slackens, the war will not be won. So, he himself jumped out of the chariot, seeing that Bhishma was about to destroy Arjuna. He jumped out of the chariot, he handled a wheel of the chariot and started moving towards Bhishma to strike his head. Bhishma immediately dropped his bow and arrow, folded his hands. It's not easy to understand. He recognized Krishna gave him honor by breaking his own vow and kept the vow of the devotee. To put it in a more philosophical and understandable way, you deal with two principles. One is Purushartha. Everything comes to you according to your effort. All is planned according to causation, cause and effect relationship. But the power of devotion draws a special response from God. Consider like God has made a pledge. He is not going to handle anything. Let Brahma, the creator, do all things. Let him, he's a great mathematician, look into the karmas of people and just go on supplying the fruits of karmas. Let people evolve. That's a general law. But there is a special, mystical law of divine grace. And if you have that type of devotion, God breaks his pledge of being aloof, tearing down the veil of illusion. He starts looking into, creating wonders in your life, miracle. So, the idea of God is transcendental. That idea becomes flexible because of the power of devotion. He is transcendental, but he can come into your life in a most miraculous way. And Bhishma's story is that illustration. All illustrations are highly figurative. God is portrayed as embodiment of humility. And one of the statements in the Bhagavad Puran, the statement of Krishna, identifying himself with God, Krishna says that I go after the dust from the lotus feet of saints and sages, and I bow down to that dust. God goes after you. Mother goes after her children. Even though the child may be filled with muck from toes to the head, she will lift him up. So that type of relationship is there between God and human being, God and the soul. And devotion, feeling within you, holds the key. How much you can bring God into your own heart. How closer can you be to God? And the fact is that as a soul, you are a ray of God. The difference between God and you is like the sun up there and reflected sun in a jar of water. So the first type of attitude is Shanta, just peaceful, not ostentatious. Nobody knows. But you become profound devotee of God, and divine response comes in your life by God's, the miracle of grace enables you to transcend all limitations. You can stay Shanta, peaceful, all through your life, or your feeling may undergo an evolution. The next type of attitude is called dasia. You develop an attitude, I am an instrument in divine hand. I will do the will of God. Surrender to God and just follow whichever way God places you. You become comfortable to every situation by reflecting upon the great quality of God. God is omniscient, He is omnipotent. If you really believe in Him, then you do not say anything against how God has created situations and circumstances around you. And you become exceedingly settled in divine hand. As I have told you one parable about the slave attitude. A great master, very rich, found his slave was always obedient, doing everything, and always laughing in spite of all different troubles and situations. The master began to admire the slave. One day in those times there used to be a big distance between the master and a slave. One day he invited the slave into the garden and wanted to reward the slave to show his great affection for him. He plucked an apple fruit and slowly he skinned it off and sliced it and gave a slice. The slave ate it and was so happy. And it went on. The master realized he's eating all that and he's very happy. Let me taste it. It must be unique. He tasted it and it was so sour, he had to spit it out. Then he turns to the slave and says, why didn't you tell me that it was sour? I could have plucked another fruit. He said, this is the first time. The fruit came right from your fingers. The touch of your finger transformed it. It was sweet and most delicious, beyond my imagination and beyond your imagination. So if one were to understand that every situation that you are facing is coming from the fingertips of God, In heavenly world, there are nothing but apples. He's slicing it and giving you a slice. If you realize it's coming from his fingers, then you are completely reconciled. Adversity and prosperity both become blessings if you realize that God is the master and you are being led by. If you give prosperity, you enjoy it. Don't ask for any more. Adversity, face it. If you do so, adversity will engender in your heart profound faith, inner strength, and open your inner eye to discover that even adversity, what appears as adversity, is a great blessing behind it. And prosperity will go on making you more and more decked with spiritual qualities. If love of God is lacking, if faith in God is lacking, then adversity makes you miserable. You go backward, becoming discouraged, bitter. And prosperity makes you vain. So you lose both opportunities. The end result, you are building up stress in your mind. So dasia bhakti, I am a slave, God is the master. And God is all compassionate. He's not like a master of what you read in history of slave trades and all that. Supreme master of infinite compassion, love, and you are always in his hands. Third stage is called Vatsalya. Love of God unfolds in such a way that you have no room for viewing God with a sense of awe. God is not awesome. He is most delightful, like the eyes of a child. You can look into them as long as you want. And the very idea you can love someone with such tenderness, that itself is the reward of your devotion. And that's illustrated by mother and child. The mother is nothing, the very opportunity of loving a child. That's all the reward is there in it. Similarly, you develop in your heart, life is such a wondrous opportunity to love God, who is the object of infinite love. What type of love? Motherly, a mother's love flowing towards a child, or father's love flowing towards a child. In that love, there is no expectation. Day by day, you attend on the child, just to see the child happy, growing. Outwardly, it appears you are doing all for the child. You are very selfless. But the child is doing a lot to you. The experience of tender feeling are emerging from your heart. That is your great experience. That goes on dissolving the negative aspects of your mind, dissolving the barriers, anger, hate, greed. That's profound aspect of devotion to God. See, the Vedic literature has gone to very profound research and also experience. Vast majority of people in most religions, that aspect doesn't seem understandable. It will be considered blasphemy. God is your child. It could be if you just take it literally. But here we are referring to the mystical feeling that flows to God with that quality of being absolutely selfless, having no expectation. Just the idea life has been given to you to love God, and God is shining before you. All you want is a smile, that's all. And another point that arises out of this attitude is that in all relations, think of your feeling, how does it flow? What makes any relation so enchanting? God. God within you, God in the people whom you love. So therefore, if you are extremely divine and you are a mother and a child is in your arms, there will be moments of entering into ecstasy. That's illustrated in this scripture. Yashoda, mother of Krishna, takes the baby in her arms. At one time, the baby was involved with eating mud. And Yashoda catches him and says, throw it out. He says, I haven't eaten anything. She says, open your mouth. He opens the mouth. Instead of seeing little tongue and the gums and some teeth, she sees the entire universe reflected. So that at that moment her feeling became ecstatic. This scripture describes in a poetic way that Krishna showed to Yashoda the whole cosmos. But the idea is not too far. You don't have to be in Dwapar Yuga, you don't have to be in that setting. In all relationships, when a child yawns, whose beauty does it reveal through its mouth? God's beauty. Whose beauty shines, whose majesty expresses through all living beings? The human being is a lump of earth. Whose presence makes this body of a human being so profound? All the knowledge of the libraries and all the history and all the geography have been created by human beings, by their nervous system. But who has been the light behind all that? That's God. And therefore, in all relations, one has to develop that understanding of arousing God within you by developing divine qualities, recognizing God in others by encouraging them to develop divine qualities. If relationships don't do that, they go to waste. They go on creating karmas so that go on meeting them again and again. So that's Vatsalya, tender love for God, motherly love. Next is called sakhya. Sakhya is friendship. Arjuna and Krishna, that relation was friend. Arjuna was friend. He viewed Krishna as a friend. And whenever he didn't understand, he was ready to scold Krishna. And Krishna took it joyously. Rather, Krishna was pleased. That's what the friends are for. If they are afraid of each other, how can there be friendliness? You have friends so that you can open your heart. Say anything you want, you know the friend won't mind it. So your feeling has led you as you have advanced to that state where God is not viewed as a source of awe, but a loving friend. And you can scold him, criticize him, but all within the umbrella of profound love. It is your deep love that makes you scold him. Scolding is not the only thing friends do. You are constantly aware God is with you. Krishna is with you, driving your chariot, looking at you, constantly guiding you, seeing where you are doing wrong, guiding you. And in spite of the fact that you sometimes misunderstand the chariot driver and shout at him, the relationship continues in a joyous way. Because even while you are shouting, you know that you are just a child. See, the only way you can express your appreciation is to shout. Coming to friendly level is very advanced state of devotion. But even when I say advanced, doesn't mean that you can't have it. You can develop it by degrees. You know it by yourself. You have prayed and God has not responded, and you are facing a challenging situation. And then there are times you say, oh God, I've done all that japa, and what have you done to me? But there comes an echo from deep within your heart that makes you understand that God has made you do the japa. God has been immensely affectionate, and you are sustained by His love. But because you are not mature enough, so you have a double personality. One side starts criticizing without ignoring the fact that you are constantly overwhelmed by His presence. The next type is called Madhuriya. Madhuriya is sweetness in relation. The only way people describe is lover, beloved. But not to take it in that level. It means your feeling towards God has broken all barriers. To give you a simile, once Narada met Krishna. He was desirous of receiving some instruction from Krishna. But Krishna, the moment he met him, Krishna pretended that he was having a stomachache. Because people didn't give him butter enough. These are folk tales. But in India, there are folk tales are as interesting as scriptures. Then Narada said, oh Lord, you heal all the sufferings of people. What can we do now for you? What is the remedy? Krishna said, remedy is very simple. If I were to get charanamrit of a devotee and a sip it. Charanamrit means feet of a devotee put into water. If a devotee were to put his toe into the water, say you bring a cup of water and the devotee puts the toe, then you bring the cup and give to Krishna. The very idea of doing that is insulting. Can the devotees do that? What will be repercussion? Because you are Almighty God and some defiled water to be given to you. Krishna said, oh, repercussion is simple. They'll go to hell. But don't lose all the time in talking. Have a serious problem. Narada went. All the well-known devotees he went after by his quick movement in a magical way. He said, Lord wants my help. Okay. You want Charanamrita, all right. But remember, the result of this act that you will do, give him water defiled by your foot, he will go to hell. Oh, please. There are so many devotees. Narada goes to Vrindavan, where there is Radha, gopis. And Radha has been just involved with some attending to cows, and naturally her feet were full of muck. And Narada comes. Lord Krishna has stomach pain. And the only remedy is Charanamrita of yours. And Gopi sits down and says, bring water and have the Charanamrita. Here is both of my feet. But don't you know, whoever will do that, will go to hell. He says, oh, Narada, why are we wasting time? Who cares for hell or heaven? My beloved is sick. And you are talking about hell and heaven? Now, you don't have to build up more a story. The climax is, a devotee does not care about heaven or hell. Love of God has become so profound that there is nothing else. It's called Madhuriya ras. Another parable is that a devotee, a saint, is seated on a prayer mat and he is going to repeat his mantras. Suddenly a lady passes by and brushes against, puts one of her foot into her prayer, in his prayer mat. You wretched lady, you have done this. Don't you realize it's a sacred seat and I'm offering prayers to God? She was afraid for a moment, but then suddenly she spoke up. What type of saint are you? I, who am going after a worldly person in deep love, and you are going to meet God, and you are aware of your mat. You are aware of so many things. So that gives you an idea of love at its height, transcendental love. And that's that state where Vedanta, Advaita Vedanta, non-duality and devotion both fuse. As Meera expresses, Lali mere lal ki jit dekhaun tit lal. Says, I went after beholding the beauty of my beloved. But then there was everywhere. So much so, when I look within myself, there was nothing else. Maybe ho gayi now, there is nothing but the divine self. So this is the plan of devotion, Bhakti Yoga, where you can choose any one of these sentiments, feeling a peaceful within, withdrawn, a slave, a motherly type of attitude, friendly attitude, or attitude of profound sweetness. And Om Shanti Shanti.
Thank you for joining us on this journey of spiritual growth. It's an honor to learn from the wisdom of Swami Jyotirmayananda. As we part for now, remember, the quest does not end. Take time to reflect on today's insights and integrate them into your life. Until next time, stay open, stay curious, stay present. The light within you is always shining.